welcome back. Man, this feels so good. I've had the privilege and honor to be co-hosting with my brother BC Serna.
Let's go, baby. I'm so honored to be here and excited. And just for everyone listening, I'm really excited for you as a listener that has been maybe following Gerard for 10 years, 15 years of content, to maybe like a week ago they found your stuff and now they're just introduced to who you are. And the biggest theme that Gerard and I are trying to hit with future content is just authenticity and intimacy into Gerard and I have the most deepest conversations and the most playful times. And there's moments where we're talking about changing the world and building community and buying land and writing books and hosting dance parties and then talking about inspiring the world. And we're just like, man, if someone was listening to this, I feel like they would resonate and feel like they would find hope in like, dang, there's other people out there like me. And so if you're listening to this, you're one of us, you're part of the tribe, you're part of the future, you're part of the new earth that we're shepherding in. And so we celebrate you that you're spending this next chunk of your time to just lean in. And my biggest mission and vision for this is Gerard, what I've noticed from afar, from social media, has this persona on stage, has this persona on social media, has this persona when he's on other people's podcasts. And then there's these glimpses of Gerard that I'm just like, man, I don't know if people have seen this stuff. This dude loves his animals that are in his backyard. Like this dude doesn't even, like, he's got birds in his backyard that he feeds every day, and he's so excited about it. And I'm just like, dude, I don't think anyone would ever guess in a million years Gerard Adams, the guy who speaks on stages and have made, millions of videos and views, runs to his backyard to make sure the bird food is full and gets really upset when the squirrels take the bird food. And I'm just like, damn, I wish people could see this side of him. And so I'm so honored and excited to hopefully be asking you questions. And, this comeback episode, you were like, maybe I just talk to the camera for a while or talk to the audience. I was like, no, let me interview you. Let me ask you questions because I want to invite people into another layer. And I think you do too, on this new season and chapter of your life of like really signing the end of this chapter that you've written for the last decade or couple of decades. And you're like, man, I feel like this is like my coming out story, like my coming out of my cage, coming out of my shell, coming out of like this freedom of, man, I'm a dad now. I'm a new man basically. And what happens when you become a dad is you become a new businessman, you become a new friend. You look at your parents different, you look at your family different, you look at time different, you look at the world different. And so you are 17 months in being a dad to this angel of a queen, of this princess, inviting people into like this new version of Gerard. Have you been following him for 15 years or 15 days? What are they going to see in this new evolution of this new season and chapter of you?
Wow, bro. Thank you so much, man. That brings me so much joy that you you see me, man. Like you really see me. And I think that you said it so perfectly, bro. Like, if anything, I want this next chapter of the show, both on YouTube and just this podcast, that the audio experience, to create intimacy, connection, authenticity, like you mentioned, and for people to get a deeper look at the day-to-day life of what I'm growing through, and just as I've been stepping into fatherhood and the new levels of becoming a man, the new levels that I'm stepping into of what it means to be an entrepreneur, to be a lover to Ashley, to be a son, and the way that I'm relating to my family now, just like so many different chapters, the friendships that I'm building now, the depth of where I'm going and who I'm surrounding myself with. And just like, so for me, I think that there's a new version of me that's a wiser version that has come online. And I still have this street smart kid in me that will grind and will dig and will get my hands dirty and will do whatever it takes and whatever needs to get done. I'm always going to be that scrappy young buck that will make it happen. But now having a daughter, it's like time has slowed down. Like I never thought in a million years I'd be able to take off over a year from this podcast. You know what I mean? I was so dedicated, so devoted to to my audience and everything. And it's been really special to slow down. And I think that in that slowing down, it's allowed me to really get clear on the man I'm becoming, the man I choose to be, with my values, with my time, with my energy, with my attention, and with my money, with the people in my life. And so this new version of me that has been super challenged, it's been very hard. Just, I mean, obviously from like the highest highs of bliss of being a father to a girl who, like, she's like, Skyla's my fucking everything. She's amazing. But also like the ways it's challenged me in my relationship with Ashley, challenged me in healing the father wound and transforming from the son to the father myself. And so it's just the wisdom at this point in time. And that's what I hope to share, is like that authentic and vulnerable and intimate wisdom from
Hmm.
someone who doesn't know it all. I'm still a student of the game. I'm a new dad, but at least I feel like that can be relatable to a lot of our generation of millennials that are coming into fatherhood, or have been a father, but like they're also in their reawakening of who they are as a man at this point in time. Or if it's someone young that's like stepping, like calling that in, it's like you've hit certain pinnacles of success and now you're looking for the queen, or you're looking to one day start a family of your own. I hope that this next iteration of the show will inspire you in some way, shape, or form, and maybe give you some guidance along the way.
That's awesome, man. That's great. I know when you were saying that, I feel like there's sometimes, these athletes like Derrick Rose or Klay Thompson, or these athletes that have this like box they fit in, and then they get a really intense injury, or an actor steps away from acting. And then when they come back to the basketball court or acting, people judge them because their acting style has changed, whether it's Joaquin Phoenix or whether it's Derrick Rose. And then they have their own identity crisis of being like, man, I'm not the old Derrick Rose anymore, but like I'm wiser now. Like LeBron James knows how to use his body differently, after 20 years of being on the court. He's like, I'm not going to be doing this, this, and this. And I feel like you coming back as a wiser man, you're more intentional with the words, with what you put online, with how you show up to your business and your time, like I said, like that. And so right now you're trying to step back into this public space of being like, you're getting asked to be on stages, you're getting asked to write books, you're getting asked to be on podcast episodes. And I think you're like, man, how do I introduce myself in a new light, that I'm not this, this type of player anymore, that I'm now a more diverse player. And I now talk about spirituality. I now talk about fatherhood. Now I talk about, raising a daughter with my partner. And so I don't know, I'm just really excited to see you step back on the court. And a lot of people are expecting maybe something from you of like, yo, you used to talk about this all the time, or you used to do this all the time. And you're like, hey, well, this is who I am, love it or hate it. And I think maybe some people might, but I think a lot of more people will come, what I'm saying, and just being okay with that. And so in that transition, we're trying to find that line of vulnerability and excitement of, like right now, what are you most excited about coming back on the court, coming back into the space?
Wow, I love that analogy. You're so good at this, dude. I can't wait to do so many of these episodes together. It's gonna be so much fun. And that to me, like, I'm excited about the fun aspect. I actually realized, sometimes being a creator, it's a hate love relationship.
Mm.
There's moments where, plenty of times where I'm like, man, why am I doing this shit? Like, what? Like, does anyone even really care? You know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah.
feel like you're on the content hamster wheel. Like, is it really meaningful? Is it actually impacting lives? Is it going to be am I going to actually be creating income from this? Like,
Mm.
you just start kind of, sometimes you can kind of second guess a lot of the game of content. And, I've been at it for 20 years. And so I really went through that. I really went through like asking myself, is this worth it? Do I need to put myself out there? Because I've had success before building a personal brand and having a persona and all of that. So I started really thinking about that again. Like, should I go back? Should I peel back, especially being like getting attacked online last year and having a post get canceled and having 20,000 people attack my family and say terrible things, man. And people come at me. It was just like really difficult. And it really, in that moment, and this is here, it's allowed me to do a lot of introspection. And I realized that coming back needs to be just as much for me as it is for everybody else.
Mm.
And I think in the past, I've done things seeking validation. I've done things to build credibility. I've done things because of a lot of external reasons. And now for me, it's like, wow, this actually is, I want to have fun doing this.
Mm.
Like I want to be so fucking real and raw and not so scripted and trying to look all picture perfect. Like I want to get it. I want to get real, man. Like I want to keep it real. I want to go deep. I think that would be fun. I think it'll help me and this part of me that sometimes can be scared to be vulnerable and be scared to be speaking my truth, especially after what happened and getting attacked. Nowadays, you can get attacked for anything, and for me, that's something that I'm like, if I don't do that and I dim my light, then you know, I feel like I would regret that. You
Hmm.
know, I would come to the end and be like, fuck, like I gave up. You know, and I don't want to fucking give up. I want to fucking play big, and I want to have a lot of fun. And when I really think about when I've created content over those 20 years, like what it's created for me, it's like, how can I give in? I wouldn't have met you. There's so many beautiful relationships. I wouldn't have met Ashley, the person I'm doing life with, my queen. I wouldn't have had my daughter. Like seriously, I wouldn't have had Skyla. Like, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have this home, this house. I wouldn't have, there's so much that by me learning to express myself and create art, and that it's created in my life. And so
Hmm.
I want to continue that journey and see, well, what could this create now, in this next iteration. What can this open up? What new opportunities can come in from this, and have fun doing it.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that idea of, like you said, you're still a student, right? You're still learning. And to approach, for us, being in the limelight for so long, we sometimes forget when we started, it was like amazing, right? Like I remember when I was traveling the world before Instagram existed and doing charities with nonprofits. And then when it came out and I was able to raise money with strangers online, it was so foreign. But it became like I remember I would edit video, I would go shoot free videos for nonprofits all around the world because I loved doing it. And then you start to lose that spark. Like there's like this amber, like this little amber started, and then there was this huge bonfire. And I'm just imagining like you're just around this bonfire excited, and then the fire starts to just like through time and the algorithm changing and new platforms and pressure and like, some people are like, man, G has 500,000 people on this platform and this, and this, and that must be so easeful and easy. But then you have more pressure. Everyone always thinks like when you reach the mountaintop, you're good. But then you have more pressure and more thoughts in your head and insecurities of like, can I post this? Should I post this much content about my daughter and this, and this? And so yeah, man, it's really trying to reignite that flame. Like when me and you came together and started talking about, man, what makes us laugh and come alive, and then let's just emit from a place of joy. And we love starting companies and movements and communities. So let's just do it in a way that we feel aren't trying. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times it's to try to sell something, even if you're selling like a product. Like if you don't really love the product or you're not like all in, it's so much harder to sell. And I think for me, we're just trying to sell that we enjoy our lives, that we are so blessed, and we thank God every day. We pray, we play basketball. We love our healthy bodies. We love our beautiful partners. We love our kids. I mean, man, if me and you can only post content of our kids, I feel like we would, because me and you look at videos of Skyla and Phoenix and be like, why are they so cute? And then, trying to figure it out how to dance. But yeah, I think we just want social media. If you're listening to this, we want social media to be the byproduct of just a happy life. At the end of the day, we want to love what we do. Like if social media didn't exist, would we be starting this company? Would we be creating this brand? Would we be creating this retreat center? And then go back to the basics. I think going back to the basics. And I love Rick Rubin says this all the time in his new book and his podcast, where he's just like, yo, you got to create from a place where you love the music you're making. And anytime an artist is ever derailed, like you hear so many artists, whether it's Harry Styles or Taylor Swift, they're like, this is my album. The last 3 albums I did wasn't me. And this one is me. And man, you just like, what? Harry Styles made 3 hit albums, and now his 4th one is the one he's saying is the most him. And you're like, dang, that's crazy, And he changed lives with those 3 albums. But we always hear artists do that. So I feel like in this moment, we're like almost 2 artists coming together on a stage, and we're like, yo, let's create music that we would listen to. You know what I'm saying? Let's create content and movements and retreats and events that we would sign up for. And so, yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now with this episode, with this relaunch. And, we're going to still do different things in different ways. But but yeah, I'm excited to figure out the pillars on what makes us most excited in our spirituality, in our families, in our identity, and fatherhood. One big thing I know you're calling in, because you've spent the last 17 months figuring out how to be a dad, a really good dad, and you're like killing it, and you're obsessed with your daughter. Like, guys, you can see dads with their kids all day, but yo, this dude will watch his daughter sleeping on his phone and just smile and laugh for like 20 minutes. And it's just like, okay, she's sleeping, bro. She'll be up in a couple minutes. Like, let it go. But you know, I'm excited to see like where, you know, that dance comes in with you of just, yeah, this new song, this new album that you're dropping almost. And, yeah, so what I'm trying to say is you haven't found music. You wish there was music, and this is gonna be like a metaphor, that there was divine fatherhood. You wish there was a community and a conversation and a podcast and a movement where new dads have a space to hold support for each other, where they don't feel alone or helpless or like they're not good dads. Can you bring up that, like, what you're in your
Yeah,
heart?
man. Like, oh God, this is like the biggest thing that's on my heart right now. And I mean, I love building businesses. I love being a creator and supporting, you know, creators and entrepreneurs. And the thing that's like most alive for me that I'm excited about speaking about is fatherhood. And it's just kind of documenting the journey, right? Like, not from a place of like I know everything, because like shit, I'm new, but it's just like documenting, talking about it, creating a safe space where like new dads we can all kind of share what we're learning and who we're becoming and all the shifts and all the things, and also bringing in elders. Like, I have so many amazing elders that are around me that are fathers where their kids are like, you know, even my father, you know, I'm like, I want to peel back the layers there. Now I can have a different conversation now with him, and, you know, Ermin McManus and Ed Milet and all these epic men that I know that have, you know, they've been fathers for a while too. And so I just, you know, I want to create a space where we can connect and learn together, grow, be able to be vulnerable, because there is man, I've seen you, man, like, just, you know, it's been amazing being around you, how much you love your family, and like being able to have moments with you where like no one's around, where me and you just sit down and we just bow our heads, man, and we just pray, and how you give it all up to God, man. And like, you have another baby boy that's on the way any day now. And just the way that you live your life, just fully in faith, no matter what. But like, man, both of us, the struggles of the day to day of how to hold it all, you know, for our wives, for our kids, for our movements, for our audiences, and for the people that we're mentoring. And so it's just a lot. And I feel that just as much as I want to create the conversation of how we deal with the vulnerable moments, more than anything, I want it to be a place where we empower the fuck out of fathers. Because like, I have never felt more powerful than I do right now. And I owe that to fatherhood. There's been an initiation that has happened that I think only dads understand what it is. Because now, you know, you can kind of hide a little bit before you're a dad. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you can kind of be like, yeah, it's just me. I got to take care of, right? I'm good. You can kind of duck and weave and hide a little bit. You become a father, it's like, man, your cards are on the table, man. Like, you know, your family's relying on you, you know what I mean? And it can cause you to deconstruct, and you know what we've seen in this country, like, you know, it can cause you to abandon. It can cause you to you know, fall to the alcoholism and the drugs. It can cause you to disconnect, to destruct in all these ways, or it can cause you to rise. And I want to help these men to rise in a way that gets them closer to God, in a way that can help them to become the best version of themselves, man, and not do it alone. And because for me, I know I can't do it alone. I know that by you coming into my life, I've become a better father. I know by the community that I continue to surround myself with, because there's moments where I'm having the hardest time ever, and I can call my buddy Garen and be like, hey, bro, Like, I just need you to remind me, bro, that I'm doing a good job. I just need you to remind me that I'm okay. Like, I'm doing a good job, bro. Cause like, I'm not getting it over here from my girl. I'm
Yeah.
not getting it from my daughter,
The
KJ.
world.
I'm not getting
Yeah.
it from the world. Like, just remind me that I got this, man.
Hmm.
Because I'm fucking trying so hard to hold it all.
Hmm.
And those kind of conversations with buddies of mine has meant the world to me. And I'm like, where's a place that where we're bringing that together, these conversations like this live? And I hope that this is a place that we can start having these kind of conversations and invite the audience into these conversations so that we can just be better fathers, so we can be better leaders, so that we can be better lovers, period.
Yeah. Amen. Wow, that was good. And every single human listening to this knows a father, or, you know, has a father, or is a friend of a father, and just to hopefully invite them into that compassion of like, what if you didn't have Garen? Like, what if you didn't have Erwin? And I think your compassion comes from your pain and your biggest heart. Like, we were playing basketball a couple days ago, and with this guy named Rob, and we're all sweating, and it's like we're just pouring sweat. And then we go to the sideline after the game, and we just start talking about this idea of fatherhood. And next thing you know, this guy's about to cry. Like, he started crying about his dad and his two kids, and we didn't even. It was just like literally a couple minutes into it, and there was such a reflection of like, dang, there are a lot of dads. I'm gonna say, well, I think our conversation is a lot of new dads or people about to become dads that are just like, I'm about to make a soul contract, because you can get married and marriage is beautiful, but you can get divorced. That exists. There's a world where you can cut that contract from a divorce and go your separate ways. You can't with a kid. You have a soul tie. You have a soul contract. It is the hardest thing in the entire world, because yes, you can get divorced. Yes, you can separate wait, and a million people do that. But not, and people do leave their kids, but this is a soul contract where if you got integrity and you're a real leader, and I know if you're listening to this, you're a real leader, you don't leave your kids. And if you do, or if someone has ever left you or you leave kids, it lives with you the rest of your life. You are going to your grave regretting every single decision of that. And so, I think our biggest compassion is just really inviting people into, we know mothers are incredible, that I think they're the superheroes and they're like parts of the glue, but we also know that women can share this vulnerably and have support groups that exist in just a bigger capacity. And I think your heart and my heart is like, man, I wonder if there's safe havens for men that don't have a Garen or don't have an Erwin or don't have a podcast that they can listen to and just feel seen. And and that's our biggest prayer, is that you listen to this, you watch this on YouTube or podcast, that you're just like, dang, there's other guys feeling this or going through this and struggling. And so that's it.
And fucking rising like that to me is like, man, I'm just excited about both ends of the spectrum. Like, where where vulnerability isn't seen as weakness and we have safety, and we like also have this level of accountability and empowerment that causes us to like, because I'm like, yeah, I want to continue to be an empire builder. You know what I mean? Like, I want to continue to be the best provider that I can be, externally and internally. And it's a whole beautiful new, I feel, a whole new beautiful game that I'm like, all right, like, I've just leveled up.
Amen.
In the game. The game is, I'm now leveled up to a new level. And so I want to play it to the best of my ability at this point in time. And so I'm excited for dads that are like, I really want to be a part of that, that they're already playing that game. It's like, want to come together with us. And it's not all about fathers too. Like, I think with Leaders Create Leaders, as much as that is a big passion of mine, that's going to be different about the show for sure, because it's just what I'm living. Still looking to create content that is supporting young entrepreneurs, people that are going out there and learning how to make their dreams a reality. And so if you're watching this and you are also in the beginning of your journey and stepping into entrepreneurship, and you're building that business and you're grinding, you're like, I'm not ready to get to step into fatherhood. I totally get that. And that's part of the thing that I'm still going to be passionate about sharing, and helping, because I think business is changing so much, the way that it's led by communities now, and how we are understanding our unique gifts in the world, and understanding this idea that you are 15 years mastering of the idea of purpose that, I didn't learn until I was in my 30s, and I want to help people to find that And I think the sooner that we can figure that out and find that, the more that it even prepares us for family.
Everything, right? You just said earlier, and it's like, so yeah, maybe you're listening to this and you're young, in your mid 20, 25 years old, and you're starting companies and AI stuff. But fatherhood, the more you prep, even when you're in your 20s, everything is prep for leadership, right? So the biggest thing in the world is leaders right now. And you can't be a leader unless you know your story and you love yourself. And so the goal is to really get to the roots of who you are as a CEO, as a future dad, as a future partner, as a friend, if you're a brother to some people or you're a daughter to some people. And so that's what we're trying to get to is trying to reveal people's stories and then find that love for themselves in it. And then you're going to still, you can strategize business, and you're really smart in that and how you have the wisdom in that. And now you're just entering into another student. Like every part of our life, every season is students. And we're always, if we can look at through the life through a lens of like, all right, God, what is this teaching me right now? What is Irwin teaching me, or what is this book teaching me, or what is life teaching me? And just, we want people to know that me and you have had success. We've had our dreams come true and all of our goals. We've had bucket lists and we've checked everything's off. And yet we're still coming to the table hungry, ready to create more stuff, ready to make more impact, ready to help more people. And so, yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for what we're doing there and where we're going with it. Yeah. And so anyway, so these pillars that we're going to start building on is like obviously entrepreneurship and business. You've been doing that for a long time. Being a family, your daughter, your partner, being a dad. Identity is a big one. Spirituality is a big one. And coming into like, man, what is my identity? When the cameras are off and social media has its own opinion about me and they judge me or they unfollow me, they critique me. Do I know who I am at the end of the day when all the lights are off, when all the cameras are off, and you sit there with yourself? What has been the biggest part of you that is revealed to you when all of it is, at the end of the day, you're sitting there by yourself, your daughter's sleeping, and you're trying to find out your identity?
Becoming a father has been the biggest identity shift. I'm in it currently still right now. Still kind of so gripping onto the entrepreneur version of me, because it's like I am still an entrepreneur, but it's like weird because it's like it's so different now, like throughout in the past, it's like it was just so much easier for me to be so all in on my business. And it was just like, I don't know, business was such a priority for me. And now for the first time in my life, there's just something that's just more important than that. And it's just crazy to me, because it's like, I still love business, but then I'll hear my daughter run across the room or cry, and I'm like, fuck this shit. And I'll get up and run over and, play with her and tickle her and Google, and just like, man, it's everything to be a dad. And so, yeah, I'm still very much in it and learning with this new identity. I think it's giving me the opportunity, becoming a father, to detach a little bit from leaders, create leaders. And I went through this with Elite Daily. Like I can get so attached to the brands that I'm building, and leaders create leaders specifically because it's been based around me, who, my personal brand. And so it's been very difficult to kind of separate myself from the brand and say, hey, I'm more than just this entrepreneur or the host of this show, or what is seen online. And now I think I'm coming into a deeper level of acceptance of myself and recognizing I don't need to put myself in a box. And now I could start opening up to all of me, where I feel like in the past, I was attached to the persona that was being built because I had an exited company. I built 2-figure companies. I, ranked top 100 most influential for tech. And I got all these things that I'm proud of. I really am. But it built this persona. You know what I'm saying? And, I feel like that is a part of me, but I feel now there's this new part of me as a father that
You're trying to figure out. Yeah.
I just want to share.
Yeah, yeah. What came up for me is like almost like Kobe Bryant retiring. 20 years on the court, his whole identity, all people know him as a basketball player, and then he retires, and now he's like in a business and entrepreneur, but he was a dad more than anything, right? He had 4 girls, and it's this idea of that ego death that him. I think he wrote a children's book. He like made like a children's show, and he just loved being a dad. And it was funny because I never really, for personally, liked him as a basketball player. But man, when he retired and I saw how much he was obsessed with being a girl dad, I like fell in love with him hardcore. And I was just so mesmerized by how he did it so effortlessly. But I love these analogies because when you were saying that, it felt like you're coming back on the court or back on the stage, and you're just like, all right, this is my new music. This is my new game. This is my new style of how I like. Your passion was business, and it is business, and you still have that passion, but now you've taken from that cup and you're like, I'm going to actually invest in other areas of what I'm passionate about and share it online. What has worked, what our ego knows and what our identity knows is this worked. Like having 100% passion for this business was. Now if I put my passion and my energy into sharing my daughter and my story, my fatherhood story, my divine masculine story, my healing story, my spiritual walk with God, is that going to have a return like it did for business? And I think that's like where the questions come, where me and you were talking about this every day. And it's like, we sit there and we're like, all right, how do we make content that is educational and providing value? We want to serve people. And there's things that me and you are really smart at because we've done it for so long, that we love creating content that serves people and educates people. And now me and you were like, and it's kind of, I don't want to say vanilla, but it's a little bit safe. Like we know how to do it. We know how to tell people how to shoot a shot, right? And now we're like, wait, are we allowed to talk about fatherhood in this? Are we allowed to, go in these other pockets of identity of God, of spirituality, of healing journeys? And I think that's where me and you are so excited and nervous at the same time of like, will this be received? Although we built our audience, like my audience for 10 years was I was traveling throughout the world doing humanitarian stuff throughout Africa and Asia. And my audience was just this base that loved me doing stories of building wells and orphanages throughout Africa. And then when I started, not doing that and then moved to LA and started doing a different, I lost a lot and then I had to rebuild. And then so it's going through those phases and those waves, but always, like you said, remaining excited for what we're learning and authentic for where we're at in life, and really trying to create from a place of like, what is the music we want to make right now? And let's have a good time doing it and let people, and then just know that we're going to magnetize new people. That there is literally billions of people who have never heard of Gerard Adams yet. You know what I'm saying? And how exciting that is, that there are millions of dads that need some sort of lighthouse that they can look to. And you've been that lighthouse for entrepreneurs and how to be a heart-led leader in business. And now you're going to be that for women that are like, man, is there a man out there that's raising his daughter well? Is there? And then dads being like, hey, is there? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to be a lighthouse for a lot of people. And I think that's what we're excited about and nervous. So
yeah, because it's like, I don't even know. We haven't even decided yet if we're doing a retreat. Are we going to launch? Are we launching something? For fathers that care about stepping even deeper into what divine masculinity looks like, and what that means. That want to go deeper into their identity, that want to go deeper into what it means to be a protector, a partner, a producer, a provider. Like, it's just all these, it's all very fresh right now. And so let's see what happens. Curious, like what fathers are going through right now. I'd love to hear from different men and fathers that are out there currently that are being, faced with a lot of the similar challenges of what are all these different parts of ourselves that are coming online for our families and for our businesses. And for me, as long as I think it's coming back to leadership, though, like for me, you mentioned this earlier and it like really resonated with me. It's like what it means to be a leader. And so I think for me, that's the silver lining, because like I've always cared about creating leaders in the world. Now as a father, I'm like, oh, wow, this is like a new thread of leadership for me, because for me in the past, it was like leading in business, leading as a CEO, right? Leading in community, leading in my philanthropic efforts, leading in the hood with my incubator, leading on stage, leading on the YouTube show, like all these other ways to lead. But I never ever got to step into what it means to be a leader as a father and as a family man,
Hmm.
as a husband, as like, what is that? That to me is like new territory. And so I'm excited about sharing that part of me that I'm now, continuing to step into, and how that's shaping me as a leader with the same ambition of becoming the very best leader that I can be in all these different areas of my life, as well as like the most important to me, which is my family.
Yeah. And leadership is really met when the rubber meets the road, and that just a week ago you were on the phone with the AC went out for the house, and your wife and daughter were really hot in the house, and then the gas was leaking, and then your team was asking you questions, fire trucks were coming. Yeah, I was moving in, and it just was like, that is, yeah, yeah, and yeah, and you being like, all right, this is where, like, I'm armored up, I suit up. This is where leadership is like made. Like, this is it's not the easy, like even in the weight room, you can lift the weights, you have control over the weights, and then someone attacks you, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna put the weights to the test. Am I able to defend myself and my family? Do these weights that I'm lifting have anything to do with real life situations? And that's where it was you were like, yeah, and you were just went through it, and you used all that strength and leadership, what you've learned from this. And the funny thing is, in business and control and economics, we have so much control over our teams, over our return on investment, over our expectations. And then family, man, it's a lot of stuff where if your kid is crying, you're just, there is, you learn how to surrender control in this way of like servanthood. Or if your wife needs something, or your partner, and you're just like, dang, this is real leadership, is servanthood, man, like the invisible stuff. And holding my daughter while she's crying for an hour, you're just like, dang, there's no return on investment in the world of this, but this is the hard stuff, and
Yeah, it's so crazy because it's like,
you feel helpless, right?
I mean, it depends. It's some moments it's helpless, and other moments it's like the bliss, and
Yeah.
the other moments it's like, I wouldn't trade this for the $1 billion check. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? It's like, that's what's cool about it, to be honest. It's been a new challenge for sure. There's moments where I'm just like, that moment when all that stuff happened in one day. I just remember, just like, I sat in my driveway. I had like 3 phones in front of me. One's my phone, one's the AC guy's phone, and one's like freaking a gas guy. And we're all trying to get in touch with the home warranty. And then the fire truck's pulling up, and then you're on your way to about to pull. And you're right. It's just this ultimate surrender. And it's crazy because as much as I was like frustrated, I remember laughing,
Yeah, yeah, I remember.
because like, if there's one thing that becoming a dad teaches you, is getting closer to God, because you see this life come into the world and you're like, what the fuck? And so it's just like moments where you're just like, man, I see how there's all these things that are coming at me right now, but just kind of laughing and just like, yeah, this is just because like I'm being asked to become even more expansive and be able to hold even more. And I don't know, it's just like, it's a dance. It really is this dance where I'll be one moment like fucking so beat down and like, man, tired, and in other moments where I'm like, man, this is so fucking cool.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, man. And we get to ride those waves together, man. And that's what's so fun, is we have a child that's literally the same age. We have partners we've been with the exact same amount of time, like 3 years, and or nearly about that. And then we've just done so much different stuff. And so if you're listening to this, we salute you, we honor you, we pray for you, we celebrate you. You are a leader. Like, no doubt in my mind that if you spent time listen to this story and listening to our hearts, that you're eager to learn and grow, and someday either be a partner to someone or a parent. And just message us, like shoot us a message shoot like the word fatherhood on Instagram if you want us to create more content around that. Message, comment below on this YouTube video, comment below on this podcast, and really just let us know, like, man, I would love for you guys to talk about spirituality. I would love an episode about healing the father wound. I would love an episode about what your relationship with God is and how did you find it. I would love an episode of how you stay committed to a partner even when you're going through struggles and fighting and arguing. I would love, like, just let us know, and we are excited to just share those stories and those parts of us and be really vulnerable and really honest, and invite you guys into the ugliness and the messiness of like this human experience is freaking tough. And there are moments where we're questioning it and struggling. And then there's moments where we're holding our kids, dude. And we are like never leaving this moment, dude. When Skylar like lays her head right here, or like when Skylar's on her back, kind of laying her head back on you. And I'm like in the background taking a video because it's just way too cute. And I'm just like, I guarantee someone's like, hey, G, there's a check for $1 million. But you have to go to the door right now. He's like, oh, dude, he's like, dude, I've seen Skylar lay on top of this dude. And if she puts her head down, he's there's nothing else his phone he doesn't even know where his phone is. He doesn't care about phone calls. This dude disappears off the planet when his daughter lays her head on him. And, so we love you guys. We appreciate y'all, and just so excited for this new iteration, these new chapters, these new conversations. And just so you know, like G and I are like vulnerably just gonna put it out there, and we're gonna.
This is something big, you know, and I'm passionate about it. So I'm like, what we talked about was like doing a 12 episode series, guys. You're gonna come on this show with us, 12 episodes. We're gonna break down each episode of different parts of the journey around being the father, brotherhood, divine masculine, and we're going to see where it takes us. But all I know is like, we're calling in community. We're calling in building a true movement to support and grow with and learn with men that are on the path, you know, that are on the path to becoming the very best, you know, men that they could possibly be for their family, for their movements, for, you know, for the legacy that they're looking to leave.
Amen. Yeah, and interviewing the Erwin McManuses and your dad, and just like the dads that have that thick skin, man, that grit, that man, they're a dad. Like me and G are 17 months in. There are people 30 years in, bro. Like Erwin has 2 successful kids that adore him and love him, and that are like made names for themselves in their own life, in their own way. And it's like, that's the goal, you know. I mean, we're trying to get to a level of like, man, I want my kids to love life, to be authentic, to love me. Hopefully, you know, like through my mistakes and mess ups. So yeah, y'all, we're excited, and we just want to continue to hear from y'all, and then just share our raw and authentic hearts of what it means to really put it all out there and invite you guys in, and then invite other dads and experts in this topic and teach us something.
Yeah. So stay tuned. We'll drop an episode every single week. Let us know. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. Please rate the podcast, because it's going to be an experiment for us, and we're not doing it. We're not monetizing it. We don't have any plans for that. What we want is to really create a community here and to share authentically what's happening as 2 new dads that don't know it all, that are figuring it out, but are devoted to being the very best men that we can possibly be for our communities, for our businesses, for our families. You're invited to go on this journey with us. Rate the show, because it means the world to us. And we'll probably do some really cool giveaways for those of you that actually do rate the show 5 stars.
yeah.
You know, but stay tuned.
Yeah, we just love you guys. We appreciate you.
Peace.
Yeah, seriously, dude. Get this guy a tissue, yeah.